Well, the real estate market is changing considerably and has already changed quite a bit since the beginning of the year. So today I'm going to be giving a mid-year update or a mid-year report of what the real estate market is doing and what that means for you. So the report I'll be sharing today was compiled by my real estate coaching company, which is called Buffini and Company. The founder of this company, Brian Buffini, has quite a long track record of real estate, being in the real estate industry, being a real estate agent in the past, and now leading this company. And he's been giving predictions, I think, for like 38 years now. And he has a really good track record of knowing, okay, here's where things are at, here's where things are going. That said, I'm going to jump into this report. Here's a quick snapshot of what the report is going to be about. And you can see the different topics we'll be covering. So I'm going to jump right in. So the first part here is the state of the market. One of the things that you can see here is the median home sales price is listed at $375,000. Now that's a national stat. So I'll share what is more locally here in just a second. The main thing though is that where we are in terms of inventory is a little bit up. So there's a little bit more inventory now because the market is not quite as tight, and home sales have gone down a little bit because buyer demand has gone down, and we'll cover more on that in the future. One of the interesting things from this slide that you can see is that lumber prices fell about 30% from 2021. There are still a lot of difficulties that builders are facing as they are trying to build. But you know, the average price of a new home, like it says here, has increased by almost 19%. And that's because of lumber prices. But here we've also got, like I said, labor shortages. We've got high costs of development, permits and fees, a lot of that kind of stuff. And we're going to continue to see the cost of building go up, unfortunately. And while lumber has fallen in price, we're still seeing pretty significant inflation, and that's going to cover the entire range of building a home, from labor to construction to fuel to get there, all the material costs, everything. So we're going to continue to see the cost of homes go up, unfortunately. So here is a quick regional snapshot, like I mentioned. Like I said, we are nowhere near that $375,000 mark. In fact, we are about $200,000 above that. The median sales price in the Portland metro area was $575,000 in June. Now, what's interesting here is you can see that this is actually slightly down from a month ago in May. So in May, we saw the median sales price of $575,000. Again, median is half the homes sold were above that price and half the homes sold were below. You can see the average sales price is significantly above because homes that sell for several $1 million skew this average up. So the median is a better barometer of what the activity actually looks like, what sales actually look like. Inventory, as you can tell, is not much better. We're only at 1.4 months for June compared to 1 month for May, and we have quite a bit of room to go. We're kind of in an interesting spot right now because affordability is really at an all-time low. People can hardly afford to buy a home, yet there's still high demand from people moving in from more expensive areas or for people that are buying with cash. The fact of the matter is there's just not that many homes available, and people still want homes. The problem is that the people getting priced out of the market is what's really reducing that demand. So a lot of people just couldn't buy a home if they wanted to, and that's just kind of the unfortunate reality of where we're at right now. Here is a regional market snapshot. So this report split up the US into 4 main regions. Obviously, we are in the West, and we're actually pretty in line with that $523,000 mark. And the existing home sales for this whole region are down slightly. And I think we're about the same, with about an 8% decrease over the past year. The next part of this report doesn't just cover real estate. As you can see, the title is Recession Proof Your Money. So basically what this is about is that many leading economists, and I'm just going to kind of read this here for you, many leading economists believe we are headed towards a recession, which is, I think, really clear. Some might already say that we're in one, but it's probably more likely that we're not quite there yet. So here's some common sense knowledge, some things that you can do, such as just looking at your budget and making sure you actually have a budget, and canceling subscriptions that you don't need or that you may not even use. You may have subscriptions that you don't even use anymore. So cancel those, don't use them, or don't pay for them if you're not using them. And here's a goal for, especially if you're self-employed, have 6 months at least of expenses planned out. If you've got a steady job in an industry that you think is very unlikely to be affected by a recession, then that's great. But I think it's just wise to know that we never know what's going to happen. So get those savings up. Even though it may seem like you're really stable, it's better safe than sorry. And the next part is listen to trusted advisors. So people who have a track record of being able to predict what happens and doing so accurately. There's a lot of people who have a financial interest in you listening to their advice. So I always tell people, even when it's me giving the advice, if someone's going to get paid for you to listen to their advice, always get a second opinion. A quick definition might be in order for what a recession is. So just by definition, a recession is a period of significant economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced after a fall in 2 or more consecutive quarters of the gross domestic product, which is the total goods produced and services provided in a country during 1 year. A recession typically begins just after the economy reaches a peak of activity and ends as the economy reaches its lowest point. One of the weird things about where we're at right now is, and here's what this is talking about, why 2022 is different. So unemployment is really low. A lot of employers are really struggling to get employees right now. A lot of people are scrambling, trying to hire and trying to produce goods with limited staff. It's never really quite been this way before. But what's happening is because people don't have enough staff and the cost to produce goods is so high, they're not able to deliver the goods that they need. So then another company doesn't have the supplies they need, and up in the supply chain. So the farther down the supply chain you get, the more things are disrupted. So this is causing many businesses to have to go out of business because they just can't provide a service because the supply chain is disrupted. How exactly this is going to affect the economy as a whole is really yet to be determined. Mortgage statistics. Now, I think they took some liberties in this report, in all honesty, because there's very few people who still have the same mortgage they did from 2008, and I really hope that's not you, because when mortgage rates got down to 2.5%, 3% over the past year, most people refinanced then, if not already prior to that. So the thing is, most people are going to have an interest rate right now that's between 3 and 5%. The refinance business is pretty much dried up completely right now. There are very few people who want to refinance into a rate that is 6%. And this says the average rate is 6.2 or 5.23. The reality is that it is continually changing. At the time that I'm making this video, it really is closer to 6% for most people. But this is just kind of a look at history of what interest rates look like. So, I mean, really 6%, sure, that's a pretty normal interest rate. But the thing is, the price of homes is quite a bit higher. So that's just kind of the reality of what we're looking at here. Here's a snapshot of today's buyer. So without getting too much into it, the thing is that home sales are still happening quite quickly. From the time someone gets into the market and is ready to start looking for a home to the time they purchase their home, it's a pretty short period. Now, some of this is because of the market, but people are also having to view less homes. The market right now, and especially even more so right now, there's a lot less competition. And a lot of that's because people who are at the lower end of the price range, they just can't afford to buy a home. So many people who can still afford to buy are facing less competition because there's just not as many people putting in offers to create bidding wars. Some of the other stats here are about what buyers want and how first-time home buyers, what kind of demographics make up first-time home buyers. It's an interesting note that the top 3 compromises that a buyer is going to make is either the price of the home, some of the features or conditions of the home, and then also the size of the home. Now, this isn't really unique to this time frame. Most people are going to make some kind of compromise on the type of home that they're in. Almost everyone compromises on price because they have a certain mind of, I'd like to get in at this price, but then they realize sometimes that's just not doable. And we're still seeing that. One of the interesting things I found about this report is how many buyers are wanting environmentally friendly systems. So energy efficient, which also has to do with money, but also drought friendly landscaping, heating and cooling systems. Some people are even coming away from using gas because they want to get solar panels in the future, or they're planning for that, and so they want all electric so that when they convert to solar, that all of their usage can be electric. I just thought that was an interesting point that wasn't specifically covered in this report, but I thought was worth mentioning. Here's a quick snapshot of a seller today. One of the things that, if you haven't been around the real estate market for a very long time, 17 days on the market is absolutely ridiculous. Now again, this is the median time on market, which means half the homes are on the market for longer than this, half the homes are on the market for less than this. But historically, homes would sit on the market for months, and that was just considered normal. Whereas now, homes are on the market for just a couple of weeks on average, and many of the homes sell in the first week. Again, these stats are already, in my opinion, slightly outdated because we're starting to see the norm be that homes sit on the market for a week or more, even the ones that are priced competitively. So I think as time goes on over the next couple of months, we're going to continue to see the median days on market increase. You can also see some of the top reasons people have for selling is really to be closer to family, to move into a home that's a little bit bigger because their current home is too small. Also, current neighborhoods become less desirable because of bad neighbors or something else going on. And that's something that really hasn't changed much. People are still buying and selling for the same reasons, more or less, than they always have. A quick note I'll add here that you can see in the bottom right-hand corner here is that when a home's overpriced, it's going to sit longer and often sell for less than it would have sold if you'd priced it correctly. This is always an item of tension because a real estate agent is really incentivized to sell a home quickly, and a seller is incentivized to make the most money possible, is not always interested in it selling quickly. But there's a balance here because you may price a home at a price where you'd like to get you'd like to hold out and get that certain dollar amount, but then sometimes if you have to stay for too long and do a price reduction because you're overpriced, often you'll have to do a price reduction below the amount that it would have sold by if it had been priced that way from the beginning. So this is a point of tension often between sellers and real estate agents. It's always worth having a conversation. And it's why it's really important to trust the realtor you're working with, to know that they are actually going to serve you and keep your best interests in mind. The next part here covers the investment of real estate itself. It's kind of an age-old saying that if you look into the past, it was always a good investment. It's obvious looking back in the past couple of years that people have gained. I mean, right here it says $64,000 was the average equity that a homeowner gained, and it's an interesting thing to look at, and it would be tempting to think that prices would continue to come down quite a bit. But the thing is, we reached a peak this year of home prices, and we're softening slightly because the demand is reduced. But the thing is, just because there is a significant undersupply of housing, there's no room for there to be a crash. Home prices are going to continue to appreciate, though hopefully in the mid-single digits. And I have been saying for a while that this is my hope, that it would go back to mid-single digits, because that's really what a sustainable appreciation of housing is. But we're continuing to see that number be higher than really where it should be. But the point is that real estate is a good investment and really always has been. Most people believe this. Some people don't believe it, but the numbers speak for themselves. There's only been 2 times in the past 60 years or so that there's been a single year where home prices have gone down. One was in the 80s and one was obviously 2008 and 9, where over the whole of the year, real estate prices went down rather than up. So even though right now a $500,000-$600,000 home seems expensive, keep in mind that a home in 1960 cost about $10,000. So my parents bought their home in 1997 for $85,000. That's just kind of how things go. So before long, we'll be 10 times that. We'll be at $850,000 for your normal home. And that's just, inflation's gonna keep rising, home prices are gonna keep rising. You know, if you think back 100 years ago, what you could buy with $1 is significantly more than what you could buy with $1 today. It's just hard to think about that. It's hard to conceptualize, just in the same way that when people were buying homes for $10,000, there's no way they could imagine a home selling for 10 times that at $100,000. It just seemed absolutely ridiculous. But we're gonna see that, and one day we'll have your normal entry-level home selling for $1 million. I think it's worth noting in this report, they show the rent prices being fairly comparable to mortgage prices. Here in Oregon, that's just not the case, unfortunately. Rent prices, while expensive, are still less than what you would be spending for a mortgage right now. The thing is, people know that if they don't buy a home right now, they may be permanently priced out of the market. So there's a real sense of urgency that people have, even though it can be very uncomfortable to buy a home, that people are buying a home anyway because they know they really don't have another option. It's best to buy a home now and work with it until hopefully you're able to refinance down the road or get an adjusted mortgage rate when the recession comes and interest rates go down, which is kind of a separate conversation. But it's just kind of an unfortunate reality that that's the market we're in. Rents are, again, really expensive, but a mortgage right now is even more. It's just that sense of urgency that people have. So here's a quick note about my business model. There's a lot of ways that people grow their real estate businesses, and I've chosen to grow my business by building relationships and providing as much value as I can. My hope is that when you come across someone needing to buy or sell a home, that you will put us in touch. In addition, I really believe in the value of referrals. So, you know, like what this says, this is the whole model. We call this the Buffini model or the Working by Referral model. It's just really about building relationships. I would rather build relationships and work with the people I really care about and serve them rather than cold calling and working with strangers. So part of this is I work at a high level. I work with a high level of excellence, and I have a commitment to doing the best that I possibly can. And I want to give that service to the people I care about. At the same time, I want to make sure the people that I care about are taken care of. So it kind of is the flip side of giving out referrals as well. So if you ever need a contractor, if you ever need a financial advisor, CPA, whatever it might be, please reach out to me, because there's a good chance that I have a contact that would be a great fit for you. If you are also moving out of the area, please let me know as well, because I have a network of hundreds of real estate agents across the country. There's a good chance that whatever city you are moving to, I have someone who can help you buy a home there. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you appreciated seeing some of the stats, getting an idea of where the market is at. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. My number and email are right there at the bottom of the screen. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions and have a conversation. If you liked this video, please consider subscribing to the channel so that you get all the new videos as they come out. Also, hitting a like button makes more people see it. It just is one of those YouTube algorithm things, and it means a lot to me if you do that, and it lets me know that what I'm doing is valuable. I want to continually make these videos as valuable as possible, and I'd also appreciate seeing any of your thoughts in the comments below. Again, if you personally are looking at buying or selling a home and have any questions about that process, and of course need someone to help you move through that process, please reach out to me, and I would really enjoy having a conversation with you, helping you make the best decision for you and your family. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.